Hey guys, my name is Dr. Lauryn Lax, and I'm so excited to be joining you guys today on Facebook Live for the Nutritional Therapy Association. And if you have any questions during this presentation, don't hesitate to write in the comments section right there. But yeah, I'm here really today to talk to you about my story, why I decided to go and pursue the Nutritional Therapy Association, and give you a little bit of insight on what I do personally. So I guess for starters, how did I really even stumble into the Nutritional Therapy Association? It was very far from what I had studied in school. I was a broadcast journalist, or had been studying broadcast journalism in school. In college, I live here in Austin, Texas, and had gone to the University of Texas in Austin. And I was set to be the next Katie Couric. That was my biggest goal, and had grown up my whole life wanting to be an actress or a journalist and writer as well. And those are all things rooted deep within me that I just love to do. About that same time, though, while I was going through college and everything, I was also really struggling with an eating disorder. And so really that eating disorder defined most of my childhood, I would say, and my teen years and college years, but I was really in the thick and the throes of that. It had started when I was 10 years old, and just really over the course of my lifetime, up until about I was age 23 or 24, I spent most of my life in and out of hospitals and treatment centers, and just trying to make a life and get by as well while pursuing my dreams. And so when I was in college, graduated, was going to go do my thing, again, wanting to be the next Katie Couric, got my first job at NBC in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I was working at KRK4 News. And just decided after about a year in the business that I didn't feel completely fulfilled. The whole if it bleeds, it leads thing wasn't for me. I was kind of tired of reporting on house fires and homicides most days, and so decided, what do I want to do? I really started cranking my brain and racking my brain, and decided, I kind of like helping people. And so it was during that time I applied to grad school and decided to become an occupational therapist. And occupational therapy is really it's a lifestyle-based therapy, helping people thrive in their own lives. And that's what I was going to do. I decided to go out to Nashville, Tennessee at Belmont University, and I pursued my occupational therapy doctorate there. But concurrently, I was still really struggling with that eating disorder that I struggled with for most of my life. And by the end of that first year of grad school, I was working out upwards of 7 to 8 hours a day and subsisting off very little food. And I had been pretty obsessed, in quotes, with healthy living and healthy eating up until that time, or so I thought I knew what was healthy. But little did I know how unhealthy I really was. And so the day before my second year of grad school, I stepped on the scale one morning and saw a number I hadn't seen since I was 10 years old, and just remember that really hitting me health-wise, thinking this is not okay. I'm not well, but feeling like it was super over my head. And I just remember praying on my way to the gym that morning that the Lord would help me make a change. And little did I know that change would come in the form of some strangers who stepped into my life at that time in the parking lot at the YMCA and told me they were worried about me. And it was just really serendipity that they really heard the call and they took me to the hospital at Vanderbilt Hospital, and I ended up spending not a night in the hospital, but a year really in treatment. And it was during that time in treatment that I began to get my life back and began to heal. And ironically, it wasn't so much what I learned in treatment, but my desire to not go back to that former way of life when I got out of treatment. And so that's what really started me thinking, you know what, I really want to help people thrive. And I'm still finding out what that looks like for myself while I was going through treatment, but I knew I didn't want to stay stuck or go back to my old ways. And so a year later, I decided to go back, finish what I started, went back to grad school, and it was during that time that my ideas started to shape and form, that I really wanted to help people that had struggled with eating disorders and or disordered eating, which is about 3 in 4 women, so it's a pretty high statistic, and or disordered relationships with their bodies. And I didn't really know exactly what that looked like, except that I wanted to do something with my own practice and then maybe open up a center at some time. And so I finished grad school. It was about 2.5 more years that I had left, and then moved back to Austin, Texas. And it was about the same time that I was finishing up my residency that I began thinking, I'm about to go out to the front lines, and I really do want to help people. But in occupational therapy school, we didn't really study specifically much about nutrition and or eating disorders in particular, just helping people with their relationship with food and then with healing their bodies. And so I learned how to, I say sometimes Band-Aid symptoms more than actually treat roots. As therapists, we treat people to heal, like from strokes or from even like autism, working with younger kids, sensory processing, so many different areas. But I really wanted to help people from the root and up. And I realized in my own life that had been through nutrition. And I had restored my own health after treatment with a real food-based approach. Treatment was very much based, not a real food-based approach. There were many a days of eating Egg McMuffins and Eggo waffles and takeout pizza and the standard kind of treatment model that I had been in and out of treatment centers for years and had been on that processed food diet. And so I knew I didn't feel well most times coming out of treatment on that approach. So this last time in treatment, I had healed myself with real food and had started exercising in a way that was more functional and just finding movement rather than exercise in my Stairmaster routine. And so, long story short, I knew I really wanted to help people find this holistic approach to feeling just good in their own bodies and knowing how to thrive in their own lives and whatever that meant for them, that they didn't have to stay stuck, they could script that. And so I found the NTA through a friend of mine. I started looking into nutrition programs, and she had been through the program, and she's just someone that I'd really respected. I had met her. She was a CrossFit coach actually at the gym that I was working out at in Austin, and just was really inspired by the work she was doing. And just, again, a very more holistic approach than it seemed the other nutritionist I had worked with in my eating disorder had been, all about the food guide pyramid and just telling me how many calories to eat or how many macronutrients to eat. And so I really liked this whole food as medicine thought. And so it really intrigued my interest into looking into the NTA. And after looking around at several different programs, the NTA just really stuck out to me because it was so applicable. And I really liked that there was also the in-person vibe. And living here in Austin, it just even was sweeter just having it in my own backyard. And so I dipped into my savings and just really said, sign me up, and jumped into it, really not knowing much about what to expect. So I had no idea about the functional evaluation process or about the neurolingual testing and what all I was really going to learn, but I knew I was going to learn real food and real-based healing nutrition. And so I went through the program, and after the 9 months finished, I was just so hooked into really giving people these tools to help them thrive in their own lives. And I found myself at grocery stores talking to people about nutrition while standing in line, and or just people at the gym. I started working with some people. I was coaching CrossFit at the time, and started just using them as my guinea pigs and practice clients, and then kind of forming and shaping what my business was going to be. And again, my business is called Thrive Wellness and Recovery. And my biggest vision and picture was I want to have a center here in Austin where girls from all over the world can come and heal in a holistic way from their eating disorder and just find new life and new relationship and health and with their bodies as well. And so Thrive was kind of just born as when I decided one day I was going to set up a website. And I thought, like, the website, that is going to be like the ticket to forming a business. And just remember staying on my computer until the wee hours of the night. Lots of adrenal issues over the past couple of years, probably, with starting my own business as well. But just really with this big passion and vision for spreading a message that you don't have to stay stuck, whatever rut you're in. And for years that I had been told by doctors and by other healthcare professionals that I would always struggle with the eating disorder and that the thoughts would always be there and maybe I could learn to manage it. But full recovery would just be something that I always just was seeking and trying to find. And I really wanted to let people know that that doesn't have to be the case, and that whatever has shaped you or defined you to this point, or whatever you've struggled with, doesn't have to shape and define you for the rest of your life. And so whether it's an eating disorder, or like as I've explored and gotten more just immersed in this nutritional therapy world, it's just really like, what are those pain points that do keep people stuck? And so it's allowed me to blend a lot of the work in just the mindset and psychology and lifestyle redesign that I've also learned through occupational therapy school into my practice as well. And so whether it was just, the weight that a person can't shake, or feeling like, I'm always going to have this autoimmune condition, or I'm always, going to be the girl that just craves sugar and struggles with food, that it doesn't have to be the case. And so that, as my practice has evolved, Thrive, it's really turned into not just a practice for those in recovery from eating disorders, although I do say that is a specialty of mine. But it is, again, just this holistic mind, body, soul approach. And I do feel like that's a term that's so thrown around, like mind, body, soul, sometimes ad nauseum. And, but really to realize that a person can't heal if we don't address the mind and the body, the roots, even the brain-gut connection right there. And then the soul is just helping a person find what it is they're passionate about and what it is they were really meant to do in this life. And so, and the process I developed for helping people it's called my Thrive process, and it's really just what I coach my own self going through my recovery and the struggle that I struggled with that eating disorder for 15 years, and again, thought the thoughts would never go away. And so as they did, and now walking in freedom, it's the process that I coach people through, again, called the Thrive process, and it involves, I say, like a 5-step process, and it's not always linear either, but it starts with gaining vision. And this is something you can integrate with your own clients if you sit down at that first session and just help them paint a picture. What is it that they want for their life? Because they may or may not have really thought outside of just this one goal that they're coming to you for, whether it's their health goal or, again, the gut issues that they're feeling or the eating disorder that they're struggling with. What is the bigger picture? What is that vision that they have? And then 2 would be, I say raising awareness. And so like raising awareness to the things like that they have struggled with and the truth. So the truth really happened in the NTA training for me was getting a clear picture of how my body worked and the gut issues I'd even had for years, like why that was the case. And also starting to understand, again, this whole brain-gut connection and really how the constipation, IBS I struggled with for years was probably impacting how my brain functioned and how I thought about food and obsessed about that. And just really helping a person understand like all aspects, raising awareness and bringing to them new truths. And those truths don't have to happen in like a brain dump. It happens like really the first month to 2 months that I'm working with a person. There's a lot of raising awareness happening and just helping the person like understand how their body works. No one gives you an owner's manual on how to operate your own body. And so I find that raising awareness stage as being like really integral in helping a person start to even develop their own, like why do I want to get better, and why it's not just about the weight even, like why have I struggled with these things, and raising awareness for the mindset too behind the reasons I struggled. I sometimes call it mastering your inner mean girl as well. So raising awareness to that inner critic. So the client's going to dictate the process, obviously, depending on what they've struggled with or where they're at. But you can meet them right there. And then the third step is redefining. And so once you have this awareness, and this can kind of happen simultaneously, but it's helping the person redefine what a new life and a new relationship with their body and relationship with food, what that looks like, and giving them practical tools, whether it's going to the grocery store and shopping with them and showing them how to do that and or meal prep. I love doing easy meal prep sessions with clients and just going into their home, showing them you don't have to spend 4 hours on a Sunday prepping. This can happen, in a matter of an hour to two, or it can be something, once nightly that you're cooking. You cook for enough for tomorrow. And so showing them those tools, or sometimes I'll do body image shopping challenges with clients. And so that's kind of using more my occupational therapy, but really redefining, again, all aspects, relationship with food, relationship with their body, what even like their fitness structure looks like. And this is something you can coach people around, is what is like a redefined lifestyle with this bigger vision that they have. Who is that girl? And I say girl because I do work mostly with girls and women, but who is that person? And one of my exercises I'll give people, I say it's called putting on your inner Belle Dress. So as a little girl, I always wanted to be Belle, Beauty and the Beast. And so every time I had my yellow Belle dress on, I totally thought I was Belle, and I was in that mindset. I would ride in the back of my mom's car waving at my fans in my parade, or just feel like I was at the belle of the ball. And so little kids do a great job of that. When they put on their costume, they think that they are that person, and so they are. And so I help people put on that mindset and coach my clients to put on that mindset of who is the girl that you want to be. And even though you may not feel like her yet, so as we think, therefore we become. So what does she talk like herself to? What choices does she make? Does she beat herself up if she did have a piece of chocolate, or that she had that craving or ate a little bit more than she intended? And no, she doesn't beat herself up. She moves on. And so helping people put on their inner Belle Dress or inner superhero costume is what I call that. So that's redefine. That's step 3. Number 4 would just be setting intention. And so really having a person set and make goals and for themselves. And then 3 or 5, setting intention and then taking action, which is just where the rubber meets the road, as you guys know. But I'm a big believer in helping a person just feel that gratification from success too. So giving them small things, even like one thing, focus on one thing at a time, is how I really operate with people. And if they're ready to take on more, great. But I want to help them experience as much success as possible, because I find when we do experience those little wins, it really is a snowball for more wins to come. And so the person just gets more and more motivated as, I was able to drink water most every day this week, or I incorporated fermented foods for the first time in my life, in my diet, or I tried bone broth, or whatever it is. Sometimes I think as nutritional therapists and practitioners, we can get so excited that we want to give them the whole kit and caboodle of things to do, and that's super overwhelming. And I've definitely learned the hard way in doing that. Because at first, when I was starting practice, I would lump everything together in this huge book, and I'm a writer, so I can write, and would send them on their merry way, and just finding that the client follow through was just too overwhelming. And so, and again, my process, call it the Thrive process. The client's gonna really guide that process, so the length of it, but typically I'm working with clients a minimum of 3 months, and I just really believe like during that first month we do so much just scratching of the surface that it's hard to really get and dig deep if they're coming to me really wanting a life change. Now, I will work with people on a monthly basis if it is just they want a booster, or they want to do some like a jump start kind of package to get them underway, but really find that the at least 90 days of working with a person, kind of helping them even stay accountable to what it is they intended, because clients are going to have, the ambivalence, probably even sometimes a few weeks in that honeymoon phase of starting a new program. And so reminding them of what that vision was that they had, and helping them just continually work through the process. So raising awareness, redefining, and then setting intention and taking action. And The frequency that looks so different for each client. So maybe every other week. I love working weekly, and that's usually the majority of the clients that I do work with. But again, the client is going to guide that. And so I guess if anyone has any questions, I would love to take those. Bigger vision is still to have a Thrive Center here in Austin. And so hopefully one day, also a big vision is I want to grow a team. I want to grow a team of nutritional therapy practitioners as well that really, as this movement evolves, just be a leader with that movement as well, and functional medicine. So that's something I haven't even segued into, but something else I have pursued most recently has been my training and education in functional medicine through the Institute for Functional Medicine, and then also Kresser's ADAPT program. And I tell you, if you do get a chance to ever dive into another schooling, that has been just phenomenal. And so has only complemented the work that I've done through the NTA. And I just continue to be blown away by the knowledge and just like practical application that the NTA has given me through all of these trainings even, and just foundational knowledge in nutrition. The best part of the NTA, was, I got a question here from Rosemary. It was probably, I loved getting to know the community. The people, the girls that I connected with have become some of my best friends now. And I didn't go into the program at all expecting that. And so that was probably one of the biggest surprises. Also, just from a foundational knowledge, just again, a lot of the digestive and gut health exploration of that foundation, that was just huge in my own awareness of my body, and then my ability to help clients. And I think as practitioners, we can also get into this, like, we don't know enough kind of feeling phase, especially as we graduate, and think like we need to know more. But I've continued to learn so much as I worked with my clients that I continue to come back to the foundations is where it's at. One more question. What are some of the things that the NTA program inspired you to do? And so, again, to really help people heal through this real food philosophy and heal, just to understand how their body works. As I started to understand how my body worked, the NTA gave me those tools and skills, and my gut health and my brain health, even how that gut impacted that. It really inspired me to help other people understand their bodies. Do you use the functional evaluation in my practice? I do with the clients, sometimes that I'll work with here in Austin and sometimes not. It depends on really where the bulk of our work is. And so sometimes clients will come to me more for a mindset approach, and we're not starting with the functional evaluation. That's a tool I may whip out later, but it is something that I do integrate still. What is the NTA community like? It is amazing. We call it the tribe. And so it's just really inviting, Rosemary, and I really never experienced anything like it as far as in the other programs or trainings I've done from grad school and college to even functional medicine. It's just a really helpful, if anything, and people are always willing to really dissect client cases with you or help you navigate things as well. That Facebook group is awesome. Another question from Nicole. When you only give a client a short homework list, do they see much improvement even with 1 or 2 changes? Oh, yes. And that's going back to the focus on one thing. I find when too many people, or when I give a person too much on that homework list, it doesn't get done. And I do help manage client management. I use a system right now called Basecamp, and there is this cool to-do list function that I can put their to-dos on that and just help them remember what their to-do is. And I also use a really cool app called Embody 360, and it is like a food log. They've allowed me to brand it myself, so I have the Thrive app. You could brand your own app with their platform, but that also helps with client follow through and then just helping kind of handhold them some of the way. Sometimes clients need a little bit of handholding in the beginning. A question from Ryan Louise. Do you practice OT, and do you think that it could play a part in helping patients? I do. And so occupational therapy, I really practice, it's called a modality lifestyle redesign, and that's what you as NTPs are even able to do. And so, but as an OT, it's really just seeing these practicalities, these tangible steps that a person can take in their life to help them redesign their life. It was a model founded out of the University of Southern California that I trained under a little bit, but more than anything, it's using the skills of motivational interviewing, habit and behavior change, and that's where more like the coaching and the guidance comes in. From a traditional occupational therapy standpoint, I have had some PRN positions, like where I can go into the rehab hospital and go work with a patient that has suffered from a stroke or overcoming a traumatic brain injury or spinal cord injury. But I do find sometimes I really love preventative care more, and that sometimes is more sick care on the back end. So I love educating, though, the people what they can do post-treatment to improve their lifestyle. And oftentimes there's a nutrition talk involved in that. What was my workshop weekend like? I guess from Jill Williams, there's multiple weekends. So there are 3 weekends, and the weekends are pretty intensive, in quotes, meaning like you're in class from about 8 or 9 till 5 or 6 most days. But again, it's only 3 days, and it's every few weekends, every few months. And so, and you learn really the skills, the hands-on skills that you're going to use with the functional evaluation during that time. Any other questions? I guess, again, bigger visions are, want to have a Thrive Center but I'm also working on some online programs for clients as well to go through this Thrive process themselves, and creating a model that would also kind of, I say rival something like a Weight Watchers program or a ToneItUp.com program. These programs that are so popular, the diet culture with our society, I really want to create a resource and a portal that is a different sound, and that sound would be like, again, roots of nutrition based through our learnings and the NTA, and then this functional, holistic approach to healing. It's not just about counting calories. It's not just about what you weigh. It's not about working out more and eating less. And so that is an online program I'm working on creating right now, and hopefully hoping to take on the diet industry. Nicole, what are the benefits of being an NTP versus getting a master's degree in nutrition? I don't have a master's degree in nutrition, so I can't speak to all the programs. There is, I think the University of Western States is a program I've heard that has a more like holistic approach, and you get your master's. And then depending on your state, you may be able to practice differently. So I live in Texas, and as a nutritional therapy practitioner, I'm able to do nutrition with people and not have a stipulation. The only thing is I don't get reimbursement from insurance as a nutritional therapy practitioner. Some states you may be able to with a master's degree in nutrition. I say I'm a lifelong student, and so I think I'll always be learning. And so I don't think you could go wrong with pursuing that master's as well. But I think the NTP has given me more than enough skills and training within nutrition. And then I've just continued to expand within additional continuing education and everything there. Natalie, what was your community project, if you don't mind sharing? I couldn't decide on one, so I created 3. And so, but again, I'm a writer, but I created 3 programs that I've utilized even today. So one of them was called Family Fuel, and it was helping families transition like their whole family, including the kids, to a real foods-based diet. The other one was kind of a spinoff of that. It's just called Fuel, and it was made for individuals to kind of inspired by the Whole30, but seeing so many people go on and off the Whole30 still like it was a diet, not a lifestyle change. And so I created a program. It was a 28-day program for my community project. And my last one, I called it the Thrive 28. Now I'm calling it the Thrive Life Project. And it's what I've continued to use today with helping girls specifically transform their relationship with their bodies, food, and fitness. And so it included daily missions that I wrote, and also a nutrition program, a fitness program, and I really integrated that into being this holistic approach that I am working on right now to create an online version of that will be available to any clients as well that just that have struggled with those things. Again, 3 in 4 women struggle in particular with eating disorders or disordered eating habits of some sort and then 97% of women have an I hate my body moment every day. And so that's what that was created for. Kathy says yes, she did have 3. They all were great. What types of people would suit the NTP or NTC programs? What if I don't have a background in nutrition or health? Well, that's perfect because you're coming to become one. And I think the NTA and NTP program was actually more, a lot of people go through it for themselves, and you start to heal your own body through it as well. You don't have to have it all together when you're going through it. You definitely don't. And so that I know a lot of students just get so much out of it, like as a healing journey for themselves. And I think that sometimes becomes the best, allows you to become the best teacher as you heal and learn and implement in your own life. How many hours did you devote to the NTP program? And would someone who works full-time be able to handle the workload? Totally. Oh my gosh. How many hours did you need to devote? Probably, 3 a week. I listened to my lectures while I was cooking dinner or at the gym or in my car. And so it was super easy to do. And then I was working, okay, you don't want to know how many jobs I was working, but I was working about 13 jobs at the time and like all these part-time jobs. So like in order to start getting my business off the ground, I was like, I'm not going to work a 9 to 5. And so I was doing things like coaching and personal training and occupational therapy, PRN positions, writing, freelance writing, all of that. So in order to make my dreams happen and going through the NTA. So gosh, it kind of exhausts me a little bit now, but I was able to sleep too. I did not sleep. And self-care. Self-care was foundational. So I was totally able to make it happen. Are there any books you have read lately or that you might recommend? Gosh, I'm always reading books. I feel like Audible has been my biggest friend, but honestly, a lot of my books have been mostly business and self-help related. I feel like, I can't look at my Audible right now, what I've just most recently read. I'm writing a lot of books is what I'm doing right now too. So I've written about 6 books this year and I'm working on really my passion project right now. So a lot of my time has been spent doing that and then in my Kresser training, so the ADAPT training. If you message me later, I know I can think of my favorite books to recommend. And what were the best books from the reading and the NTP course? I continue to use the Signs and Symptoms book all the time, and I feel like that one was just super impactful and like understanding again your own body and then your clients' bodies, and so that is a great book. Any other questions? Please don't hesitate. You can definitely reach out to me too. My name is Dr. Lauryn Lax or Lauryn Lax on Facebook. It's LAURYNLAX. And my handle is Dr. Lauryn, DRLAURYN. Nutritional Therapy Association said we'd love to hear more about what you're writing. So right now, the book that I'm writing is really a holistic approach in how to heal from disordered eating and relationship with food. And so I'm thinking of calling it Unstuck, and it's really about getting unstuck from this diet rut. And that one will be available on Amazon as it's about to be in the editing stage right now. And so Natalie Jensen says, please talk about your books. But that is the biggest passion project, is just getting this information out there. Again, there's so many diet books and diet mentalities out there. And so this book is really centered on, like, I start off with telling my story and then walking people through like practical tools and exercises that they can do through this Thrive process I've talked about, while also giving the education and the guidance that even honestly I found a lot of doctors and nutritionists and therapists that I had worked with throughout 15 years never informed me of until I started like this more holistic approach and learning through the NTA. And so that's what that book is about. I've also written, turned several of my guides and programs into books as well. And you can find those on my website, thrivewithlauren.com. Any advice on getting started writing a book? Gosh, just start. I think sometimes people like let that deer in the headlight look get to them. And so write an outline. That has helped me a ton. And so when I have a little plan, I know what topics I'm going to be writing about. And so then I just say, I'm writing every day. And whether it's more or less, I just carve out that time. And, usually the time away spent from my computer is where I get the most inspiration. And so I have to do it in small chunks and doses. And I find like when I'm outside or like doing a movement session or even taking a shower, some of the biggest creativity comes to me. And so that has been helpful. And then so just writing and not getting over that deer in the headlights look and using an outline. What kind of additional therapies or modalities do you recommend to clients with disordered eating syndromes? Gosh, so I have realized and recognized I cannot be like, I want to be all things to all people all the time, but there needs, like, that team approach is so great. And so helping a person find movement that they connect with, and then finding like passions and hobbies. And so that can be different modalities. Like if a person loves like art, it's finding modalities like in the community that allow them to express creativity or like pursue photography. Also something that's like a healing modality, something that I think individuals often neglect is that self-care. And so helping them find like the rejuvenation points and people to connect with. So yoga is great, as we know, and it's something I was very turned off to for a long time because it was kind of shoved down my throat as the only type of movement. But helping people connect with modalities that are healing and allow that time to de-stress. I find stress is probably the biggest not talked about factor with individuals, and probably all areas that we're seeing, but those disordered eating especially, and that can be one of the biggest thorns that is keeping a person stuck in whatever it is. I love your 7-day program. It has been a great little extra bit of self-care. It helped me relieve inflammation. Oh, thank you. Oh, Maida, that's so sweet. So I have a 7-day gut healing program on my website that she was just referring to. But again, I really want to help raise up people with guidance and education that we've all been gifted through, or that you will be gifted through the NTA if you choose to pursue your education there. And so helping people thrive. I guess if any other questions are out there, I would love to take them. And if not, I'll give you my contact as well. So my email is Lauryn@thrivewithlauren.com, LAURYN @thrivewithlauren, and again, LAURYN.com. And then Dr. Lauryn on Facebook and Instagram, but would totally love to connect with you and also collaborate. So I do, like I said, want to continue to build up and link arms with other NTPs who want to trudge forward. And in the future, I'm wanting to create more of like a psychology of eating type course to help train NTPs and those continuing education with nutrition and work with clients to help their clients work through disordered eating. So I hope you guys will join me, and then thank you for continuing to inspire me. So, all right, don't be a stranger, and we'll talk soon.